There's a broad coalition of folks who are supporting Donald Trump. Not all of them are loyal MAGA people who would storm the Capitol like Vinny here, or paid by Russia like Tim Pool here.
Get him! He called it lowbrow, surface level, vapid garbage. No, you got paid by Russia! You got paid millions of dollars!
Tim, are you on the clock right now for Russia? I know you get $100,000 a week from Russia, and the FBI intervened.
There's limited things that I can say in this as the victim in what's going on. And so
the victim that got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. He's a victim. He was victimized by Russia. I mean, if that's being victimized, like, victimize me, daddy. Somebody come and victimize me, please.
Have any evidence when you say that Tim Pool took money from Russia to spread disinformation? Do you have any actual evidence for that?
Friends, if you want to help with some algorithm love, click like, comment down below. I love you guys, everybody who's doing that. Appreciate it. All right, let's check out this premium Piers Morgan content.
there are a lot of men who will not vote for a woman no matter what.
We do have a misogyny problem and a racism problem in America.
I've not said anything disrespectful to either of you guys on the panel, but you keep throwing fake things at me.
I know this works for you to talk over women because you're used to an audience of 90% males, but everyone
I knew
watching.
You were going to go there.
Yeah. He's such a low cow now, guys.
I love women.
I don't know why this lady keeps saying my name.
My name is Nomiki Konst. I'm well known. I'm on the internet.
That's not a policy. That's not a policy. That's not a policy.
Yes, it is. There you go, genius.
People are tired of this BS.
They view Trump as an outsider. He's a bad boy, and you're bad for supporting him.
I don't think going too hysterical about Trump is the way to beat him. But don't just scream. It's like everyone goes, bah! They say you should never change your winning strategy. And on that basis, it looks a lot like Team Harris is not winning. Search the most recent analysis for the Harris campaign, and you'll see words like disaster, panic, and implosion. $1 billion has poured into her race in just a couple of months, more than President Biden raised for his entire 2020.
None of this is based in reality. Listen, the race has barely shifted, okay? She went from being up like 3.5 in the aggregate to up 2.5 in the aggregate. She is still leading in all the Rust Belt states on 538 as far as I understand. Hold on, let me actually take a look. I think she's leading in all the Rust Belt states plus Florida. Not Florida, Jesus Christ. Nevada. And according to their model, Harris wins 52 times out of 100 compared to Trump 48 times out of 100. So their model predicts a coin flip. They have her even in Wisconsin, even in Pennsylvania, D+1 in Michigan, D+1 in Nevada, R+1 in North Carolina, R+2 in Arizona. So yeah, close race, but this idea that she's like collapsing is not based on anything.
Run. But even left-leaning pollsters say this race is a dead heat. And now after dodging media and clinging to the autocue of
and to be fair, they've been saying that this whole time. Like, there's never been a single aggregator as far as I'm aware of. There's never been a single pollster as far as I'm aware that at any point said that she had a clear lead or he had a clear lead. They've been saying that it's a toss-up literally the whole time. Every single pollster. That being said, she's going to win all 7. Mark my words. Mark my words. These pollsters are worried about taking a hit to their credibility after a lot of really bad polling in recent election cycles. They're hurting in the final stretch. Nobody wants to look like dummies. I mean, credit to Fox News. They just said F it. Fox News put out a poll last night that had Trump up +2 nationally and Kamala up +6 in battleground states. They were like, hurting. We're just going to put this up there. But it's been a statistical coin flip this entire time. I think she is headed towards a decisive victory, okay? You want my map? Let me show you my map. I'm going to show you my map. You ready? Here's my map. She is going to win Wisconsin. She is going to win Michigan. She is going to win Pennsylvania. She is going to win North Carolina. She's going to win Georgia. She might not win Arizona. She's going to win Nevada. My realistic map is this, okay? This is my realistic map right here. Harris 308, Trump 230. Lock it in. This is my map right now. I don't think, like, some of these polls to me make no sense. You know what? No. I'm going to give Arizona I'm going to give it to Kamala. I'm sorry, man. There's polls coming out for Gallego right now in that Senate race that have him up 12 points. And I just, to me, it is inconceivable that Gallego can win feasibly by like 10 points and then Trump still wins the state of Arizona. I just don't believe it. I think polling right now is just broken. It's broken, okay? If you dive into the crosstabs of the Fox News poll that came out last night, it's wild. These crosstabs are insane. So something is just like really funky about the polling this year. But I have a really difficult time believing that Donald Trump is more popular than he was in 2020. It's inconceivable to me. Pondering Politics with 5 gifted memberships. I love you, buddy. Pondering Politics, if you guys didn't know, very sexually attractive in person. I scored a 0 on the Kinsey scale, so I'm like the least gay that you could possibly be. But when I saw his supple form, when I saw the contours of his body, his sinewy muscles, there was a primal lizard brain part of me that shifted. Something in me changed the day that I saw Pondering in person.
Months, Kamala Harris is suddenly everywhere. She's even agreed to face Bret Baier on Fox News tomorrow night. She's also apparently in talks to appear on Joe Rogan. The podcasting godfather studiously avoided endorsing either candidate so far, but he's previously entertained some forthright views about the current VP.
If you're going after Officer Harris, you're either racist or sexist or ableist.
Right.
So they will use...
Ableist.
Yeah, because she's a...
Jesus Christ. Imagine saying this about Kamala when you have Donald Trump, like, take any random screenshot. I'm sorry. Take any random transcript of a Donald Trump interview or speech. Don't listen to the speech, but read a transcript and try to make sense of it. He is so stupid. He is a silly, stupid guy, man. He's just, and they've all convinced themselves that this woman who like passed the bar and was the district attorney of, you know, one of the most important metropolitan cities in the country for 2 terms, and then was the attorney general of California, the most populous state in the country, went on to become the junior senator in California and has now served as vice president for the last 4 years. And she's like, in their minds, they've convinced themselves that she's, number one, an alcoholic. And number two, they've convinced themselves that every time she speaks, it's word salad. I think they're telling on themselves because when she speaks, sometimes she can be like a little long-winded. That's the worst that you can say. What you can't say is that she's incoherent. So if she says a sentence and it's too long for you and you can't follow it, maybe you're the idiot. Maybe you're the dummy. I can follow her sentences just fine. She's making coherent points. She answers to questions substantively. Anyways.
She's literally retarded. I mean, Ukraine is a country in Europe, and Russia is an...
And this is so unbelievably bad faith. Like, someone was interviewing her and they asked her to explain the Ukraine-Russia conflict like they're in 5th grade, and she did it. And so now they take that one clip of her doing that as if this is how she normally speaks. It's just like beyond bad faith.
Another country and a powerful country, and Russia invaded Ukraine, and that's wrong.
What's really important is what can be unburdened by what has been.
I think of her as America's wine mom. Because bitch,
they're calling her like an alcoholic. I've never seen a clip of her where she looked like buzzed. I've never seen a clip from her where she looked tipsy or drunk ever. Do these people know what like being drunk looks like and sounds like?
Seems like she's 3 deep by noon.
Clearly, Kamala Harris is now taking risks, and you can't knock her for that, but she wouldn't be taking these risks if she didn't have the evidence that she needs to. Young men are decisively breaking for Donald Trump, and that's why Harris needs Rogan a lot more than he may need her. That's also why Tim Walz is busy pretending to fix car engines and hunt pheasants. And that's why we've ill-advised campaign support ads like this.
This idea that Tim Walz is like faking being a hunter when there's photos of him hunting that goes back like decades. So this must be like a real long con. Like they were playing the long game with this lie. So, you know, like 15 years ago, they faked a photo of him hunting because they knew he was going to be the VP candidate 15 years later. God, Piers has gotten so insufferable. I mean, that itself implies that he wasn't already insufferable, but it's gotten so much worse lately. So much worse.
Bears, that's what bear hugs are for.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women. They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement. I love women.
I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge. And I'm man enough to help them win.
You might think that only a white dude for Harris could script an advert specifically for men that actually appeals exclusively to Dylan Mulvaney. But just to be clear,
Jesus
problems
Christ.
of his own woman problems. And that's why he's now taking part in an all-female town hall to address that imbalance. Whether it's Latinos and crypto bros for Trump or students and cat ladies for Harris, the fact remains with an election this close, the margins will matter. Both candidates know it. The only safe bet about the next 20 days is it's not going to be boring. Well, joining me now to discuss all this is our panel, PBD's podcast Angry Patriot, Vincent Oshana, Wajahat Ali, the host of Democracy-ish, CEO and star of Timcast, Tim Pool, and the progressive
Also known Russian asset.
broadcaster Nomiki Konst. Welcome to all of you. Tim Pool, welcome to Uncensored. Finally get you on. Been wanting to have you on for a long time. You're doing great guns yourself. Just your overview is where we are with 20 days to go here, because it looks like this is an absolute knife-edge race.
I would say that it seems.
Is he gonna, dude? Do you think he learned his lesson? Is he gonna do another 49 state landslide? Remember, if you guys forgot, the reason why in the first place, Tim Pool predicted a 49 or even 50 state landslide for Donald Trump was because Biden picked Kamala Harris. I don't know if you guys remember this. That was his theory at the time, that she was so bad, that she was so unlikable, that she was such a disastrous pick for VP. That was going to be, that in his mind, that was going to be the thing that led to a 50 state landslide. And here she is 4 years later running neck and neck with Trump. So anyways.
Trump's winning the argument. I know there's a big divide between men and women. And it's funny because we've seen this bubbling up over the past several years with many culture war issues. If you look at the aggregate polling right now, particularly in battleground states, at this time in 2020, Joe Biden was up 9 points. So we are seeing that Kamala is ahead nationally in aggregate. Trump seems to have an edge. Whether he wins the popular vote, I don't know. But I think when it comes,
I feel like what he just said was contradictory. She's up around 3 points in the aggregate nationally, but Trump seems to have an advantage. See, what they're doing is they're assuming the same polling error from 2020 and 2016, which is stupid. I keep saying this, but his ceiling, his vote share ceiling in 2016 and 2020 was right around 40%, 47%. And the current polls have him in all these aggregates right around 47%. So either he expanded his coalition since January 6, 2020, and he's going to get above 47%, or the polls are pretty close to accurate this time, or they're inaccurate in favor of Kamala. I really doubt we're going to see an outcome in 2024 that's going to be similar to 2020 and 2016, where he outperforms the polls by like 2 or 3 points, because he is already right at his ceiling. And a lot of these pollsters, you guys, they have these incentives, because if they keep getting stuff wrong, it's obviously going to impact the polling industry. They're going to lose a lot of their credibility. They're worried about their jobs. So I do think a lot of these pollsters shifted their methodology to favor Trump in these polls. And it's just difficult for me to reconcile. Again, I keep going to Arizona, but there was a poll that came out today or yesterday that had Gallego plus 12. Gallego plus 12 against Kerry Lake, and then Donald Trump plus 1 or 2 in Arizona. I don't understand. I don't understand that delta. That delta doesn't make sense to me. It's just on its face. It's really difficult to imagine a state voting for Gallego by 12 and then Trump by 2. I just don't understand. I just don't buy that. I'm sorry. I just don't buy that. I'm a straight up poll denialist for a lot of these polls.
comes to the issue of men and women that you were just bringing up, women may hold their nose and vote for Donald Trump. And I think this is actually more of a left-leaning opinion, which for some reason I got a lot of flack for. But I think there are a lot of men who will not vote for a woman no matter what. And I think Kamala does have, there's obvious issues of professionalism, but I do think sexism will play a role in her not being able to win over men in this election.
Yeah, I mean, Vajra, my thing about Kamala Harris is that when I watch her, and I know your
Look at Tim Pool pandering to the left.
Views on Trump, and I don't disagree with some of them, and we all know our views of Trump, frankly. He is what he is. Kamala Harris obviously is a bit more of a new proposition, because when you're VP, you're kind of hiding behind the president. And we've only really seen the full Kamala, I would say, in the last 2 months. And the more we see of her, with the exception of a very competent debate performance, the more I see in interviews, the more...
Or like North Carolina is another good example. Like 538 North Carolina Senate. Like in their aggregate, they have Trump +1 in North Carolina, but in this Senate race, or is it the governor? I'm sorry, the governor. It should be the governor. Wait, there was a Morning Consult poll that came out a couple days ago that has Stein +22. Stein is the Democratic candidate. He's up against, who's the crazy guy again? What's his name? Robinson? I'm sorry. Again, this is going to be really difficult for me to, on its face, accept that Stein could be +22 and then Trump +1. It's almost inconceivable to me that Stein being up so much on Robinson doesn't get Kamala over the finish line in North Carolina. I feel really good about North Carolina, even though 538 has him plus Trump +1.
Unsubstantial, she seems. And I think that is her problem, is that people think she talks in a kind of word salady way, and that Trump, for all his, nonsense sometimes, at least has a quite clear messaging, marketing process.
What? Piers? No, you did not just say that. Did you really just say that? Did you really just say that? Donald Trump has a clear messaging strategy? We talk about word salad. This double standard is so insane to me. Oh, you can accuse Kamala of word salad and then say that Donald Trump has clear messaging. One of those candidates does a word salad every time he opens his mouth. It's word salad every time he speaks. I can't make sense of half of the that he says. It's insane. And with her, she may be a little long-winded sometimes, but I can make sense of the stuff that she says.
Process, which he just rams home the same things again and again and again, and they do resonate with people. How concerned are you that with just 3 weeks to go, that Kamala has that issue of she was probably a pretty left-wing progressive, she's barreled her way back to the center as fast as she can, but people aren't really buying it?
Well, I mean, clearly people are. What do you mean people aren't buying it? What do you mean? Like, Trump supporters probably aren't buying it, but I mean, she turned a losing campaign into an extremely competitive campaign in 2.5 months. That wasn't an accident.
I don't think she's
part of the misogyny.
Sorry, Tim, I was for Wajahat.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think that's part of the misogyny that Tim was talking about, that when you look at a career professional like Kamala Harris, who was a district attorney, who was an attorney general, who was a senator, who was a vice president, and who's now running for president, who has come out with record rallies, a record amount of enthusiasm, and who right now is leading in the polls. You compare her to Donald Trump, who just yesterday, literally, and I'm using the word literally as it's meant to be used, at his rally, instead of answering questions for 39 minutes, I've never seen this before in my life, I'm 43 years old, just sat there swaying and dancing, right? He literally...
Yeah, bro, man, like, can you imagine if Biden would have done this? And the excuse that they gave, I'm sorry, that excuse doesn't pass muster for me. They said the excuse was that the AC somehow got disabled and a lot of people were experiencing like heat stroke. And so he was trying to calm everybody down with like his music or whatever. I'm sorry. If Biden did something like that, he would have been skewered. If Biden had stood there swaying along to his favorite songs for 40 minutes, opera songs and It's a Man's World by James Brown and Frank Sinatra songs, just standing there swaying left and right. If Biden would have done that, they would have skewered him. They would have been like, oh my God, he needs to be institutionalized. Oh my God. He needs to be like put in some sort of a old person's home and evaluated for Alzheimer's and dementia.
Literally canceled a CNBC interview just today, about an hour ago. He refuses to release his medical records. He canceled the 60 Minutes interview. He refuses to do another debate. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris says, okay, I'm going to go to Call Her Daddy. I'm going to go to New Media. I'm going to go do 60 Minutes. I'm going to do Howard Stern. I'm going to go to Stephen Colbert. I'll do another debate. He doesn't want to do a debate. I'll do a town hall. I'll even go to Joe Rogan. This is called a campaign that is run by professionals. This is a professional politician, a professional public servant who actually knows what she's doing. Now, the razor's edge, like we all discussed, is because it is going to be a close race thanks to the electoral college, the battleground states. She is going to win the popular vote. I believe she will win the presidency. This reminds me more of 2012, where the polls were very similar, and a lot of people thought,
2012, 2022, yep. It's going to break my heart, man, if I'm wrong and Donald Trump just sweeps these battlegrounds, you know? Because it's going to be one or the other, guys. I really don't think it's going to be like... I feel like one of the candidates is going to get like all 6 or 7 swing states, and the other one's going to get 1 or 0, and it's either going to be Trump or it's going to be Kamala. That's what I feel like in my head right now. I don't think it's going to be a case where she wins the Rust Belt and then loses all the Sun Belt states. I just don't think that's going to be the thing, because they're all just so close, you know.
Obama's not going to pull through. I think she will. I think she's doing a really smart thing right now by going on Rogan, all these other...
I'll tell you what, though, if he wins, hey, nice. Your boy gets a nice raise. Isn't that nice? You know, isn't that some good silver lining? I feel really terrible for anybody who gets deported, but I will make more money. So that's good. That's a plus.
Outlets trying to win over the argument. And I agree with Tim. I never thought I would say this.
May not be true. Oh, it is. I promise you. I promise you. Listen, I want, with every fiber of my being, I want her to win. But if he wins, I will make 30 to 50% more, I would say. I'm just going to guess.
I agree with Tim that we do have a misogyny problem and a racism problem in America, which is why some people, some young men who realize Donald Trump has only a concept of a plan and no plan, might not vote for Kamala Harris. But I do believe she has the enthusiasm and she will get it done.
All right, Vinny, a response to that.
This guy is easily one of the most unhinged pundits on any podcast. This guy is just God, man. He is just the very definition of small man syndrome. Because he's this little guy. He doesn't look like he's taller than like 5'3". But yeah, he's just pure rage. This man is like a miniature Hulk. He just hulks out, but doesn't turn into the Hulk. He's just himself. Instead of turning into like a big green monster, like 5 veins in his forehead just go nuts.
I mean, first and foremost, anything that's negative about Trump, I always refer back, Piers, as you know. We've already had the 4 years of Donald Trump. I don't know what this guy's talking about. It sounds like you're getting paid by the Democratic Party. We've already had 4 years of Trump, and we were winning, okay? Look at this past 4 years. You please tell me, you talked about her career as a, you know, in San Francisco and everything. What did she accomplish when she was there? 146 laws that she tried to get behind, none of them were passed, okay? She has a...
What is he talking about? When she was DA, what does he think DAs do?
Abysmal record. If anything that we've seen in this past 4 years, you think that, what's Kamala going to do different? I'm just curious. What do you think Kamala's going to do? I don't care about the enthusiasm. I don't care about the men for Kamala. Sure. Please tell me name one policy that she's going to do that's going to save America from this past 4 years that she's been involved in. I'm very curious. Very curious.
Sure.
You don't have anything. There's nothing.
He's so belligerent. He's so belligerent, bro. He is just such a big old ball of energy.
Can you let me speak?
Before you go, is it the border?
Hang on.
Yeah, is it the economy?
You asked a question, let him answer.
Or Esme.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
All right, here we go. Unlike Donald Trump, she's not going to unleash the military on U.S. citizens. He promised to do that on the weekend. Unlike Donald Trump, she's actually support Obamacare and strengthen it, not destroy it. Unlike Trump and Republicans, she's going to actually fund Social Security.
That's not a policy.
Yes, it is. She's going to fund Social Security and she's going to fund Medicare. Donald Trump and Republicans said they want to destroy it. She's going to reinstate Roe v. Wade. She's going to try to actually make that into law.
Wait, why not talk about the tax credit, the home buying thing, the business tax credit for small businesses, or the Medicare expansion for in-home care? I feel like this guy's a little underprepared.
Unlike Donald Trump and Republicans who overturned it, and which is why they're going to lose the election, because they attacked women's rights. They're going to go after contraceptive and IVF. There you go, genius.
Vinny, you're a genius, Vinny. Apparently.
Thank you. I'm a genius, but like Piers, let's just face the facts, okay? All the fear, all the mongering, all the everything. I've already lived through 4 years of Trump. Okay, and Kamala Harris, say what you want, she wasn't the president. She was with Biden the entire time. And he's been throwing her ass under the bus lately. He's saying every decision I made, she was right there with me. So for all the real Americans that are sitting out there listening, everything, all the problems that you have at home, the inflation, the border, the Venezuelan gangs taking over apartment complexes. Are you ready for this? A tornado, hurricanes destroying Florida.
Wait, what the is he blaming Biden on hurricanes?
And our government, FEMA, Alejandro Mayorkas, and Kamala, give him 700, excuse me, let me finish. I live in Florida.
This has been fact-checked.
$750. Meanwhile, This year, we've given $100 billion.
This guy only has one volume. I only talk at this volume here. You will never hear me talk underneath this volume. How does he not have a migraine every night? If I screamed every time I spoke like that, my head would be pounding. Like, I guarantee you this guy has really debilitating headaches every night.
To freaking Ukraine, to Israel and everybody. Not one American should ever suffer or be asking for money, ever. We're America first. Trump's America first.
Says a Republican. All right, what programs would you like to invest in, good sir? Kind sir, what programs would you like to invest in? I'm down.
First, Biden and Kamala are America last, and the numbers show it. Don't act like I'm sitting here like some right-wing maniac. Okay? Look at the stats.
You're showing you're a right-wing maniac.
Nomiki, you sound like a right-wing maniac.
You don't even notice it.
Nomiki, I think you were calling Vinny God throughout that response. So what? Explain yourself. Why you think he's so godlike?
Who is this calling Vinny God? I wasn't calling him God.
Well, you were saying God repeatedly. I wasn't sure if you meant he was a god.
Oh
or
my God is what I was saying.
I know. I was yanking your chain.
I'm so sick of the QAnon talking points. Listen, I mean, there's so much to debunk there, and it's
there we
really...
go. The name.
Vinny, you had your moment, okay? Please, I've been very quiet here, listening to you guys as the woman, as you explain misogyny to everyone.
I knew you were
watching.
going to go there. I love women.
You know, because you love women. I'm sure they love you too. Listen, this is going to be determined by women.
Oh my God. God, this is incredible content. I'll tell you what, Vinny is a dumb but boy, is he a content machine.
This election is going to be determined by women. And women are not only, we saw it in 2022, this country has turned out in response to Roe v. Wade, not just
subscribe. He's like Paul Rudd and Anchorman. The ladies love me, Ron. Okay.
Because it's attack against abortion rights and abortion access and the right to choose, but also it shows.
I heard their menstruation attracts bears. You hear that? Bears. Now you're putting the whole studio in jeopardy.
That the Republican Party and Donald Trump have had an agenda, not only through cutting off clinics, funding to clinics across the country, attacks on IVF, not only with their online agenda, like Tim Pool here, who was funded by the Russians, let's not forget, that they had an agenda to sway young male voters into being radicalized through disinformation campaigns. This is all out there.
Why don't we, oh God, can we just, I feel like we need to bombard Tim Pool. Like, did you give the Russian money back? Are you going to give it back? Like, I feel like he just got away with it. Like, he got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars from the Russians. Why are we not hounding him every single day? Did you give the money back? Can you donate it to charity? Like, are you going to keep that money?
At this point, part of the gender divide here right now, is because folks like Tim Pool and others who once said that they were Bernie Sanders supporters, who I worked for, were suddenly pulling people away and pulling young men away and radicalizing them. So I think we have a problem with young men right now, and that they don't respect women, as you're seeing with Vinny. They don't respect facts. They don't read newspapers. They don't understand polls. They don't understand misogyny. They don't understand people of color, and they don't understand that that immigration bill was blocked.
And you know what, Nomiki,
Donald Trump and his Republicans.
Nomiki, I'll come to Tim for a response, but Nomiki, what you may not understand is it's precisely that attitude towards younger men that is driving them to Donald Trump.
Calling them out on their bullshit only drives them into Trump's arms.
And I think the election in the end will not be won with women. It will be.
I mean, she's being maybe a little too broad. She's generalizing. Like, I wouldn't put myself in that category, right? But it is just a case that Donald Trump does way better with men than he does with women. That's for sure. But there's still a substantial amount of men in the country that are going to vote for Kamala. Like, I think his advantage with men is like 60-40, and I think it's similar, or it might be like 58-42. I'm not really sure, but it depends on the poll that you're looking at. But somewhere around like 8 points, he has like an 8-point advantage. I guess no, that would be a 16-point advantage. I'm not sure what the numbers are. Forget it. But just, yeah, he does better with men than he does with women. There's a lot of women in this, a lot of men in this country that are going to vote for Kamala for sure.
one with men, and interestingly, increasing numbers of Black American men and Latino American men. So Tim
Can
Pool,
I just challenge that for a second?
You can challenge it,
Men
yeah.
don't turn out at the same rates as women. It's really important. Women have a higher rate of turnout, they're more reliable voters, and young women are more left than they've...
Especially black women. Black women are a formidable block of voters. Like, black women, they got the homework. They know what the score is. They are a super reliable block for the Democratic Party.
Ever been, because of a lot of the online hate that they're seeing. So while Tim Pool might not like this, the majority of men actually do respect women and do like to talk to them. And I think, you know, is there misogyny? Sure.
Why would Tim Pool not like people to respect women? Well, she
is taking shots at Tim here. I mean, I respect it.
Said that makes you think that.
What did I say to this lady?
I watched his commentary in response to the Kamala. This lady, I have a name, Tim. I've called you your name. You can call me my name. My name's Nomiki Konst. I'm well known. I'm on the internet. You've commented about me before as this lady. So, Tim, you know, I saw your commentary about the manliness ad, and you said that that wasn't manly. That I don't think that men should be looking to other men to see what's manly. I mean, most heterosexual men want to persuade women because it's part of their, you know, it's how they live, right? Tim Pool, I'm just questioning why you're...
We love the ladies, okay?
Defining masculinity.
All right, let Tim Pool, okay.
We're the ones...
Well, it's interesting that you think you should be able to define masculinity, but he can't. Tim Pool, your response?
I don't know why this lady keeps saying my name. I didn't say anything to her. I think I started this off by saying I agree with the left position that there is an inherent sexism problem in this country. That actually, I'm hearing this from some of the reporters that we have on the street, that there are young men, when asked why they wouldn't support Kamala Harris, they give no reason other than she's just a woman. So I certainly understand why the Harris campaign, Tim Walz and Harris, and their supporters are making videos trying to tell men, you know, here's how you can be masculine. So in particular, there's a couple ads. There's the white dude for Harris ad, and then there was another one that was put out, I believe it was by supporters, not the campaign officially, and a Tim Walz ad that were similar. And they're doing these things where they say, like, you know, I can fix a carburetor and I'm not scared of women. These things don't say anything to men. Now, we believe, I should say the commentary we had on this is that they were female-coded advertisements likely written by women for men. I think if you look at the trends that guys follow in terms of media, they're looking at action movies. It's rather stereotypical, but there is a lowest common denominator here. So I don't think you are convincing men.
What? What does that have to do with anything?
And to vote for women by making commercials where you say, here's how men should act. I don't think you need those arguments for men. I think if there's a struggle with men, I wonder if the issue is not that it's a point of convincing these men, but that you actually...
Joe Rogan has a Black Ops 6 advert? Wait, what? Do you have a link for that? Isn't that kind of hypocritical? Because didn't they demonetize... It plays during his pods. Oh, okay. They're advertising on Rogan. Not that he's a part of some ad, right? I don't know. That feels like a little hypocritical to me. Oh, he does an ad read on Spotify. It feels like a little hypocritical, doesn't it? Because not that I'm sticking up for Nick Merckx, but they took Nick Merckx's his skin off of the COD store because he said some anti-trans stuff. And Joe Rogan, that's like a third of his career is just on trans people over the last like 10 years, you know?
Really just have guys who are sexist. And how you overcome that's a challenge I don't quite know. But I think when we criticize and mock, say, a cringe commercial, it's because it's certainly not the way to do it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It depends on who you're trying to target. I mean, if you're trying to target Tim Pool viewers, yeah, probably not. I mean, the far right, I don't think Kamala Harris or any Democrat was ever going to win over. But there are plenty of men who may need permission.
What do you mean a Tim Pool viewer?
You know, young, lonely, probably doesn't know how to talk to women, probably very angry at women. Yeah, that's what I would probably say. I feel pretty comfortable saying that. I don't know how many like alpha males are watching Tim Pool's. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, you have an audience, and the audience is far right, and over
somebody who thinks
90% male.
So you're saying that you think my audience that agrees with me.
I think the average Tim Pool viewer is probably, compared to like the median person, probably more sexist. I'm just saying, probably. This show does explicitly appeal to right-wingers, and it's not like they have a monopoly on treating women like shit, but they do it very well.
To me, that there's inherent sexism in this country and racism, and that creates a barrier for Kamala Harris. Those are the viewers you're talking about?
No, I'm saying that the folks who listen to your show are not... They are not the target audience of these ads. There are plenty of men out there who may not have really understood when they kept asking things like, where is Kamala Harris's plan, even though she's said it over and over and over again on the campaign trail. They're using excuses and not understanding that the underlying issue there might be misogyny.
Hang on. Kamala Harris, with the best will in the world, she doesn't have a big plan for what she's going to do. She never thought she'd have to have one. She gets parachuted in this weird coronation, a completely undemocratic process, by the way, which I don't think so.
Oh my. It is not like she has the overwhelming support from the Democratic Party, and the mechanisms by which the parties determine their candidates, it's not written into any kind of law that it needs to happen through a primary process. It used to be the case that the parties would decide amongst themselves essentially, and that, you know, people like non-landowning people had no say in any of this. It was extraordinary circumstances. Have we ever had a situation where an incumbent dropped out of the race with like 3.5 months to go? Has this ever happened in history before? I mean, all things considered, she did a phenomenal job of galvanizing support in the Democratic base. And what the fundraising numbers tell us and what the voter registration tells us is that she has excited an enormous amount of Democratic voters who were otherwise disengaged when Joe Biden was the nominee. It's just such a silly line of attack to go after Kamala for taking over for Biden. I mean, she was the logical successor. When I was telling you guys, when I was talking about like the idea of like, if Biden were to drop out, who would take over? I was telling you guys the whole time, like it would have to be Kamala. Like this idea that you could do like a mini primary over the next like month and a half or month before the convention is just totally untenable. If you skipped over her, then black voters would have been pissed. If you just skipped over the logical successor to Biden, the VP, if you just skipped over a black woman and then you end up with like Gavin Newsom or Pete or even Gretchen, black voters would have been pissed. And I'm sorry, but for the Democratic Party, black voters are essential. They are an essential part of our coalition. We would not be a competitive party if we didn't have black voters. That's just the reality. And so
served her, all the Democrats very well, and I suspect will come back and haunt them at the election. But the truth is that Kamala Harris doesn't seem to have a proper plan. Her plan is to hammer Trump, and that's fine. But I don't think that, unlike in 2020, when Biden hid in the basement and did that quite successfully, I don't think just being anti-Trump is enough. Americans are looking for a much bigger picture. Now, I want to bring in Wajahat because hang on, I'll come back to you. I want to bring in Wajahat about this extraordinary Obama intervention, and I'll play the clip where he was talking directly to black men in America.
And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses.
I have concepts of a plan.
I've got a problem with that because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly now, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're
now, to be clear, the majority of black men support Kamala Harris, but I think it's about an 8% differential. I think Kamala Harris has an 8-point advantage among black women over black men. So he's not lecturing all black men when it comes to, because most black men in this country overwhelmingly support Kamala. But there is like an 8% difference. And he's speaking to those 8%. And he's not lying. Like people look, I mean, people treated, some people they didn't like this because it sounded like he was lecturing people, but he's not lying. And it's not just black men. It's exactly what Tim Pool said in the beginning he said that there's going to be like some men in this country are just never going to be comfortable with a woman being president. That includes black men. That includes Asian men. That includes Indian men. That includes white men. That includes whatever, Hispanic men. And so, I mean, like, we're going to get mad at Obama for speaking to a very real group of black men that are uncomfortable with a woman being president. But I guess it's okay for Tim Pool earlier in this conversation to say that some men in this country are uncomfortable with voting for a woman. Like, give me a break, Piers.
Coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for it.
That seemed quite patronizing to me, Wajahat, but I'll...
How are you going to call that why don't you... Did you call what Tim Pool had to say patronizing? He said the same thing, but about all men. Why didn't you say that? Why didn't you accuse Tim Pool just like 20 minutes ago of being patronizing?
I'll play another clip, which is a response from Lord Jamar, the rapper and record producer, to what he heard from Obama there.
Well, I feel that she's so bad that guess what? I might just go vote for Trump.
This guy is a super Trumpy guy, and he's been a super Trumpy guy for years. Like, and news media organizations do this all the time. They don't do proper vetting, and so they'll bring someone on who claims to be undecided, and then you look into their past.
And this is my first time saying this out loud, but y'all think you're gonna shame somebody or bully into voting for this? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And now you're gonna make me be Mr. Anti. You keep coming at me with this bull. You keep coming at me talking about, oh, it's a shame that you're not supporting a black woman. And she's not black.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Bro. Are you serious? Okay.
Vaja, wow. I watched that, and I was interested because I think if I was a black...
You were interested. How could you watch that and not walk away with any other reaction than just like utter contempt? What a stupid thing to say. How could you not listen to him and then hear, like, how could you hear him say that and not think to yourself, what a idiot? What a stupid thing to say.
Black American, and I'm neither. But if I was, I would have thought that Obama intervention was quite patronizing.
Yeah, so you're not a black man, and you're going to be probably, if you were a black man, you might be one of the 12% that vote Republican. Historically, 88% vote Democrat, and it seems like this time around, 88% are going to vote Democrat. The same thing happened in 2012. There was a discussion within Black America that some people said, hey, Obama, don't talk down to black men like this, because black men will actually support Kamala, and don't be swayed by the 12% or the 15% or Lord Jamal, who, by the way, has never voted before. It seems like this is a manufactured controversy, but guess what? I'm glad the one thing we all agree on in this panel, I'm being sincere about here, is we all agree that misogyny and racism exists in America, and we all agree that it plays a part. And we agree, and we should agree, that there's a double standard that Kamala Harris, as the first black Indian woman, has to basically overcome. She has to pole vault over this. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has no plans. He's selling black people shoes. Yesterday, Kamala Harris said, here's my plan for black men. He actually comes up with a comprehensive plan that will actually help young black men. And by the way, that is going to resonate. What does Donald Trump do? Sways to music for 39 minutes, talks about Hannibal Lecter, talks about black jobs, says Kamala Harris has turned black, talks about black criminality in the urban warfare of Detroit, mocks Detroit, a place where he's speaking, a major city in a swing state he needs to win. This is what he does for black people. He's racist. He hangs out with racists. He supports Nazi talking points, literally talking about poisoning the blood.
And yet,
he hangs out with Nick Fuentes,
just to jump in,
and a racist.
Okay,
meanwhile, Kamala Harris,
I know.
Kamala Harris actually comes up with a plan, and you say she has no plan.
But see, what's interesting?
Right.
What's interesting to me, Vaja, is
kind of base. That was a good answer.
Despite everything you've just said, Trump's support amongst black Americans, particularly black male Americans, has been rising steadily now for the last 2 years, which would be...
They say steadily, and it's like we're talking about like 1, 2, 3 points. They keep predicting this massive historic realignment when it comes to black voters moving away from the Democratic Party. There's some evidence of this happening on a marginal level, but we're actually making up the difference and then some, the Democratic Party, among people with college degrees. That's the big, what's the word that I'm looking for here, guys? That's the big polarization. That's the main polarization that is emerging in the Trump era, is education level. So that's the big divide, yeah, whatever. So people without college degrees are overwhelmingly voting Democrat, and people with bachelor's degrees are comfortably voting Democrat. People with master's degrees are overwhelmingly voting Democrat. And there's also been a lot of bleed for Republicans in the suburbs with women. And I think we can all guess why that's happening. It's a combination of a couple different things. Number one, Donald Trump himself is just an unabashed misogynist. And number two, they got rid of Roe. And so there are small realignments that are happening. I don't believe like this idea that Trump is going to get 20% of like black men to vote for him. I don't believe that's going to happen. Maybe it drops from maybe the support drops like from 88% of black men voting for Kamala. Maybe that drops down to like 86%. We're not going to see like a 10-point drop or even a 5-point drop.
Apparently inexplicable, given what you've just said. They don't perceive him that way. And it looks like from the polling that what they really believe is that Trump will get stuff like the economy done better than.
What is Piers talking? What polling is he looking at? I have no idea what polls he's looking at.
And Kamala has proven to have done in the last nearly.
Again, black men are going to overwhelmingly vote for Kamala. And the way that Piers talks about it is like, he seems to think that Trump is going to get like more than half of like black men to vote for him, that is not going to happen.
4 years as part of the Biden administration. So you can say as much as you like that he's a disgusting racist Nazi, blah blah blah, but you can't explain to me unless you've got a good reason why so many more black men in particular in America are gravitating away from a black candidate.
Because it's not about race, it's about education level.
To Trump.
That's how you explain it. It's not about race, it's about education level in this country. That's what's causing these shifts.
There's also so much disinformation, thanks specifically to right-wing media, and also in part due to
every pollster I follow, Nate Cohn, Nate Silver, all these other aggregators that I follow, they're all saying the same thing. It's not about race, it's about education.
Russian influence media, that a majority of Republicans believe Trump more than their own pastors, their family members, and right-wing media.
People.
And also, they believe, they believe that Donald Trump won the 2020 election that he lost. This is what we're dealing with,
Actually,
which is why
hang on,
this
you don't
election
know that Wajahat. You have no idea why those people.
What do you mean?
You don't know that all the black American men who gravitated to Trump all believe he had that election stolen.
I'm not talking about black American men.
No. 80% of Republicans, 80% of Republicans believe that Donald Trump won in 2020.
Well, that was my question to you.
I'm talking about disinformation.
But my specific question for you was, if he's so racist, why are so many more, excuse me, I've had man flu. I'm sure you all feel desperately sorry for.
What is a man flu? What is this?
For me.
Sure.
But you don't explain to me, and you haven't done yet, why is it that his support amongst the black vote in America has been rising pretty consistently now for the last year and a half, 2 years? Why?
Sure. I will say two things. Number one, wait till the election results. I will not be surprised if it comes back to 88-12, 85-15, Kamala Trump. Number two, there is misogyny. And there is a misogyny that exists within black communities as well, which is why Obama and others, and some black men didn't like the way he said it, but they're saying, hey, listen, support this candidate. She is the right candidate. She has the experience. She has the capacity. She will do it right.
Trey6 in YouTube chat says, aren't you tired of all this BS? Not really, man. For me, politics to me are fascinating. I don't know. Politics is just never not fascinating for me.
Misogyny is not just limited to white men or black men or brown men or South Asian men. Unfortunately, it is a global problem, and we're seeing it persist and come out, unfortunately, in this election because we have a qualified candidate, Kamala Harris, who happens to be a black Indian woman. So they're making the pitch to men, hey, get over your misogyny and choose the right candidate who actually has a plan that will uplift all of us.
Okay, I'm going to come to Vinny.
Hopefully, it registers with enough.
I'm going to come to Vinny, but what I would say to that is that, again, is extremely patronizing to...
Why are we playing this game? Why are we pretending like we... Of course, there are going to be men in this country that are dubious about a woman president. Of course. Of course. Who seriously disputes this? Who seriously disputes this? Why is he choosing to die on this hill? It's patronizing to point out something that is just plainly the case, something that one of your own panelists alluded to and you didn't object to 20 minutes ago. We don't know, like all of us in chat, we don't know men in our lives that would probably be opposed to voting for a woman president, maybe in our own families. Why are we pretending like this isn't a thing? He's virtue signaling and clutching his pearls about something that he knows is true.
To black Americans who may gravitate to Trump, you are assuming they're all just ill-informed misogynists, and that is very patronizing.
Not all. Not all. He didn't say all. He's not talking about all men. He didn't say that.
No, I'm not saying that.
I'll come to Vinny first, and I'll come to you, Tim. Vinny, your response to that.
One sentence, because I don't want to miss.
Okay, hang on. Okay, Vinny, wait one second. Tim, your response.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
The reporters we've had on the street, when they talk to young black men, they all say they're going to vote for Donald Trump. But then when it comes to...
I mean, I don't know where he's deploying his reporters or who they're talking to. But if he were to just walk down the street and just talk to like random black men, they're overwhelmingly going to vote for Kamala.
Are you actually going to show up we're not seeing that in the same amount. So it may be talk. I actually agree that the numbers may actually fall in historical lines, and we're not going to see this big boost. We always hear it, we never see it.
But in relation to why they're gravitating to Trump or saying they are, what are you hearing on that?
Well, it seems like Trump is the bad boy.
Vinny, I'll come to you one second.
Well, I was just going to go off of what Tim said.
Yeah, Vinny, I will come to you one second. I just want Tim to respond on that one point, because you talked about talking to these very people. What was the reason that they were giving predominantly for moving to Trump?
I don't think that we're not really hearing good reasons, to be completely honest. The average person isn't hyper tuned into all the politics, but it seems like, at least from what I've heard, they view Trump as an outsider, as a bandit, as, you know, a John Dillinger, right? He's outside the machine, he's fighting it. He's a bad boy, and you're bad for supporting him. So if you're a young man and you walk up to your group of dudes and you say, I'm voting for Kamala Harris, they're gonna laugh at you, because she does not come off like a bad guy who's aggressive and a bully or anything like that.
Oh my God. You want to talk about offensive caricatures of black men? This is way worse than anything that Obama did. I mean, like the caricature that he's painting of young black men broadly, mind you, broadly is insanely stupid.
Will this actually translate into people showing up at the polls? I'm not convinced it will.
Okay, Vinny, you're waiting patiently.
Tim seems to have learned his lesson after the 2020 50-state landslide prediction, and now he seems much more, he's playing it real safe. He's playing it real safe. Because I guarantee you that got to him. That got to him. I guarantee you. The crab video of him predicting a 50-state landslide showing up in his mentions 24/7. I guarantee you that got to him psychologically. It seems like this time around, he's like, I don't know, maybe Kamala wins. Maybe Kamala wins.
What do you think of this?
Okay, so when you said, Piers, when you said like why the African American population is starting to lean towards Trump, and the numbers are off, by the way, because we just did it today in the PBD podcast. It was 81% for Obama. It dropped to 70 when it was Hillary. Then it kept decreasing. Kamala is the lowest out of all of them, and it keeps decreasing. And the Obama rhetoric of, you know, being...
Did he just say that 80% of black men voted for Obama? That there's no way that's true. I do not believe that. 95% of black voters in 2008 voted for Obama. Now, where's the for black men, it was 95%. Yeah, it was 95%. 95% voted for Obama. 96% of black women voted for Obama. I don't know where he's getting these numbers. What are these numbers? 80% of black men voted for Obama. That's it? Really?
You're black. If you're not, you have to do this. You have to do this.
It's true that there has been some bleed, but not this like historic shift that they keep predicting, and it just never materializes. It didn't materialize in 2020. There was some slippage with black and Hispanic voters in 2020 in favor of Trump. It just so happened that Biden's gains in the suburbs was more than enough to compensate for that slight bleed. We're not talking about like historical shifts here.
It's patronizing, and let's not forget why a lot of African American friends that I have, Piers, like, you know what? Trump is going through what the government is doing with him, with the lawfare and the media, making him look bad. They're attracted to that.
Bro, do you hang out with anybody that isn't like a insufferable tech bro? Do you hang out with anybody that isn't a insufferable conservative? Do you have any like liberal friends? Like when people appeal to anecdotes like this, it's so cringe. Oh yeah, no, like I have a lot of black friends personally. They all say they're voting for Trump. Who gives a okay, so what? Literally every single one of my friends is voting for Kamala Harris. Every single one. I'm not friends. Well, that's not true. I do have some friends that are Trump voters. I want to say this. 99% of my friends are voting for Kamala Harris. Does that matter in your analysis? Is that relevant at all in your analysis? Of course it isn't. Who gives a
because they know that that's what they've been going through forever. And all this BS rhetoric of Trump is racist. Enough of that shit. And this guy even talked about Russia again with Russia. It's like, guys, get over it. This identity politics, it ain't working. Okay, because the people are waking up. This Hitler, whatever, Nazi rhetoric, which I don't think you've learned, people are actually trying to go after Trump and murder him because of people like you saying some dumb like he's Hitler. Like, you know how disrespectful that is to Jews?
Talk to Vance. Talk to JD Vance, bro. Talk to his VP pick, bro. Clean your own house up.
Jewish people that I know. I have Jewish friends that are enraged because you're saying somebody's Hitler. Like,
nobody gives a about your friends.
He killed millions of Jews. I think it's stupid, it's disrespectful. But Piers, what else do you expect from the Democratic Party? Okay? It's all about identity. It's all about sexism. It's women. It's this and that. Trump wasn't racist till he said he was running for the presidency. Okay? And you know what it is? People are tired. Guys, do you feel it, Piers? All the way in England? People are tired of this BS.
That's true, but not for the reasons he thinks. I think a lot of people are really tired of the Trump era and they're ready to move on. I am so ready to close this chapter. You know, if you force me to do another 4 years of Trump, like I'll get through it, but it's tired of this shit, bro. He single-handedly made everything so much stupider. You know, it's not just him, and there's historical context for where he comes from, and so there's like a lot of steps that you need to like address in the past before we get to the Trump era. But he has single-handedly made everything so much stupider. He's made Republican voters stupider. He's made Republican politicians stupider. We have mainstream Republican members of Congress that are openly floating this idea that these hurricanes are being manufactured to attack red states. And this is just normal.
Just subscribed.
And this is just normal. We got Republicans putting each other in headlocks on the House floor during a contentious House Speaker vote. And this is just normal, you know? He has single-handedly just made everything so much dumber. And I'm tired of it. I am so tired of it.
Trump is this, Trump is that. I've already gotten 4 years of him.
Make politics boring again. Wait, don't do that because I need a job. Make it a little spicy from time to time, but make it substantially more boring than it is now, okay?
And we were kicking ass until China unleashed COVID.
You know
okay?
what? Here's what I think,
if
Vinny.
You guys, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. And
hold on, Piers, I'm still talking. Bro, he's gonna have a aneurysm.
Almost done, Piers. And you know what's funny about the left? If they didn't do all this Hunter Biden suppressing laptop BS and COVID and all that, he'd be leaving in 3 weeks. You'd be done with Trump. All you TDS people.
Is that supposed to be a big gotcha? I'm really glad that he wasn't president for the last 4 years. That's how you're trying to like lure me in. Oh, you could have been done with him if he won in 2020. Actually, I think it's really good that he was not president for the last 4 years.
Out there like our guests, you guys would have been, your hands would have been done. Trump would have been gone.
Tough shit. He lost. Get over it. Not my problem. My guy won. I think it's awesome to win. It feels good, right?
But they had to do all that. The FBI had to go to Twitter to suppress stories. COVID, everybody had to vote.
I'm sorry, the FBI under who? I'm sorry, whose FBI was that? I'm sorry, who appointed the head of the FBI? Does it rhyme with Schmonald Schmump?
From home. All that BS had to happen. You guys would have been done with him by now. But now, you guys want it, you're going to get another 4 years. I don't care about this polling. This same polling, Piers, had Hillary winning by 90%. You guys, it's going to be
Okay, somebody clip this. Please, somebody clip this for me. We got to save this clip. He's going to be the first one I dunk on when she wins. He's going to be the first one. This guy.
Shocker for you guys. And you're going to have another 4 more years of TDS.
All right.
Please clip this. I'm saving this. I'm not kidding. He is going to, when they announce that she's the winner, whenever they call it the next day or 2 days afterwards, he's going to be the first one that I dunk on. We got to start making a list like Jericho. He just made the list. We're just gonna save a bunch of these clips and I'm gonna spend a week gloating, minimum week gloating. There's gonna be 2-3 clips that I post every day, just gloating about this stuff, and it's gonna be glorious. Of course, if she loses, I might disappear for a few days.
TDS, the polling. What do you mean the polling for Hillary was
Hang on, Giovanni. Let me get to Nomiki. Here's what I would say. I do think the Trump derangement syndrome is a very real and utterly self-harming thing. The more you scream hysterically about Trump,
the real Trump derangement syndrome is the 7,000 hoops that you have to jump through every time he says something outrageous. This instinct you have to like sanitize the crazy that he says. That's derangement. You are the ones that are deranged. You found a way to be okay with him watching cops get the ever living kicked out of them by his supporters. You found a way to rationalize him watching them violently brutalize Capitol Police officers for 3 hours before asking them to go home. That's derangement. You found a way to just be okay with that. That's derangement. You are deranged.
The more you exaggerate him as the new Hitler and so on, the more it just plays into his hands. Because A, it's not true, and B, he uses
and this is an unbelievable double standard. Unbelievable. Donald Trump regularly talks about rooting out the evil Marxists and the evil communists, and brandishes people like me, you know, the median Democratic voter. He calls people like me the enemy of the state. Okay. He openly engages in, yes, fascistic rhetoric. And he's just like, oh, stop calling Trump Hitler. You. Donald Trump goes so much harder on Democratic voters than Kamala does on Trump voters. Are you kidding me? She's over here trying to build bridges with Trump voters. There's room for you in our coalition. And Donald Trump's up there calling people like me perverts that want to mutilate kids and get rid of women's sports and destroy religion and the nuclear family. And he just regularly says this stuff.
Uses it to master himself even more as the great underdog, railing against this system, which insists on calling him the new Hitler, which I've always thought is a completely ridiculous thing to do. Before you say it, I know that Vance called him that before, and he was wrong too, right? So just using labels like that is completely pointless. I don't think going too hysterical about Trump is the way to beat him. If I was a Democrat, pick him off. Pick him off in a smart, intelligent way. But don't just scream. It's like everyone goes, bah! All the time you mention his name. It doesn't work. That's why he's now neck and neck with your candidate.
Yeah, after being behind.
There's a broad coalition of folks who are supporting Kamala Harris, as there's a broad coalition of folks who are supporting Donald Trump. Not all of them are loyal MAGA people who would storm the Capitol like Vinny here, or paid by Russia like Tim Pool here. But with that being said...
Get him! Yes.
Donald Trump yesterday said that he would use Donald Trump yesterday. Can I talk, please?
I'll let you respond, Tim.
Can I speak?
He called it lowbrow, surface level, vapid garbage. No, you got paid by Russia. You got paid millions of dollars. That is a fact. To my knowledge, you kept that money, Tim. That's your cross to bear now. It's just objectively the case that you were literally on Russia's payroll. You can call it vapid. You can call it whatever you want. It's true. It's literally true. It is true.
I'm sorry. This is like, you want to know what misogyny is? You want to know what misogyny is?
Yes.
You let my colleague here on the left talk without being interrupted? I am not allowed to speak. Tim, are you on the clock right now for Russia? I know you get $100,000 a week from Russia, and the FBI intervened.
So
listen,
because you guys, what you do is you make stuff up and you say my name 50.
Made stuff up? What? It happened. It's real. That's a real thing that happened. You don't even deny it.
Times because you want the clicks on YouTube instead of having a real conversation about what the issues are. Instead of
the clicks on
Piers
YouTube.
Morgan
I don't have a YouTube show, Tim.
So that you can do whatever you got to do so you get attention and you get your viral clips. I get it, but it's not constructive. It's not solving our problems.
Tough. It's real. It happened. You got paid by Russians. It's a real thing that happened, Tim. You can't escape that. It happened. It's real. You kept the money. As far as I understand, you haven't given that money back. You haven't given it to charity. You kept the money.
Stopped him outside of YouTube, unlike you.
I think he would have more. I think he would have like more of a leg to stand on if, when he found out that these were Russians that were payrolling his show, if he found out about that, he immediately gave all that money to charity. Then I think that he would have like a little bit of a leg to stand on. Like, look, I had no idea. I gave all that money back. He kept that money. So you. Yeah, you did get paid by Russia and you kept the money. An adversarial country that is invested in the downfall of America paid you, potentially, depending on how long you got paid, millions of dollars, and you didn't give that money back. You kept it. You kept it.
Let's all go over each other because we can't actually hear Tim when the mic
Can I finish?
Wait, somebody in my YouTube chat, the average gamer, the Bidens kept the Russian money also? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you saying?
Sorry, this is ridiculous, Piers. Like,
you see what the problem
here's
is.
An example of
wait 1 second.
Right.
No one can hear
Tim
you.
Pool, you were
hang on, Nomiki. Nobody can hear either of you because every time you talk, Tim's mic cuts out and he's trying to speak too. Let me just get Tim to respond to you.
Okay, I think we know now. Like he definitely gets triggered. I feel like every time he goes on any kind of panel, we should for sure, or whoever's representing the left should for sure bring up the fact that he was paid by Russians every single time. Until he comes out and says he donated that money to charity, he got rid of it. Until he ever says that, every single time, I don't care if this goes on for 10 years, for 10 years, you should keep this up because he's getting massively triggered by this.
First, then I'll come back to you, Nomiki.
I never got to say
Hang on, Nomiki.
Tim was talking over me.
Hang on, Nomiki. Let him come back to you on what you were saying, and then you can respond. Tim.
But I never got to say what I was saying about Trump.
I mean, she's absolutely true, or she's absolutely right. Like, she's not allowed to finish a thought here.
Answer
what he said yesterday.
you can answer the question, and we can have a substantive conversation on the issues, or we can keep saying my name. Pick one.
Nomiki, what do you want?
Guess what? You're not the host. Okay. Donald Trump yesterday said that he would...
Let her talk, bro. Just let her talk. Just listen. Like, you'll have your chance to respond. If you don't like the things that she said, then you can respond to that. But let her talk, bro. Like, I'm down to call this misogyny. Yeah, he didn't interrupt. Who's he interrupting here? Her.
If you want to answer the issues, answer the issues. I know this works for you to talk over women because you're used to an audience of 90% males.
God.
But let me speak. Let me speak. If we're talking about misogyny, then maybe we should talk about misogyny and have a woman talk about misogyny. Donald Trump yesterday said that he was going to use the military against political enemies. Donald Trump said that he was going to challenge the election after he already challenged the election. These are things authoritarians do. I'm not using the H word. I'm using authoritarian and what's at risk. When you have Dick Cheney, who I have nothing in common with, siding with Bernie Sanders in this election because they fear that our democratic world is at stake, that the world order as it is, as imperfect and flawed as it is at stake because there is foreign interference. Yeah, I do think that's worth mentioning because Trump goes against everything that's pro-America. He didn't even, he didn't want to support the immigration bill and he blocked it. Inflation began to increase under him. We can't forget that. Manufacturing did not succeed as he promised in 2016 when he ran on that. And no, actually, the economy wasn't better under him. Go look at 2020 economic numbers, and they were horrible. And we have inflation going down. We have Wall Street is doing better than it's ever been.
Dude, Vinny, how is it possible that one man's face can get this red? Is it because I have saturation up a little bit? It is a little bit. Okay, so it is a little bit. On my main monitor, I have the saturation turned up just like a little bit to make the colors pop more. And on this monitor, his face looks like a tomato. But when I put it on my other monitor, I mean, it still looks red. But on my main monitor, it's comically red.
Wages are up at record rates now, finally. I mean, unemployment is at a record low. This is real. These are real issues, and Kamala is presenting issues to invest in small businesses, to expand Obamacare, which is hurting so many small businesses. I mean, she actually does have an economic plan, and Donald Trump is just talking about using the military against political enemies.
Okay, but the interesting thing is that despite that big speech you just made, it is completely neck and neck. Trump's ahead in 5 of the 7 key swing states because people simply don't.
According to what poll? He's up in 5 of the 7 swing states?
Has done a great job with the economy. And when it comes to the southern border, she was the border czar. And everyone on the left was quite happy to call her that, right to the point it became a millstone when she got coronated. And they realized it was...
What do you mean? Everyone on the left was happy to call her the border czar? Who on the left was like out here saying like, yeah, Kamala border czar, yeah, yes, yeah. Who was saying that?
Embarrassing to be having responsibility for such a complete fiasco, whichever side of the divide you're on. Tim, your response now to Nomiki.
Well, I mean, if we've got issues to discuss in terms of how we can help this country move forward, what we think the issues in the election are, how they're going to affect who votes for Kamala or Trump, I think that's what we should be talking about. The only reason I began to counter what she was saying was because she keeps bringing me up for some reason, and I'm not a politician. I'm some dude who complains on the internet for a living.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a perfectly fair response.
But was paid by the Russians, though.
Because you're a bitch.
Made up. So Wajahat makes an interesting point about disinformation.
It's not made up. What do you mean it's made up?
I think it's... Well, no, I think it's fascinating that instead of just saying, is Tim right or wrong? I think actually my opening assessment on this was an inherent misogyny in this country, which is a negative impact on Kamala Harris. For some reason, she just turns it into attack on me and then says...
Why is he saying it's made up that he got paid by Russians? Why is he saying that? It's not made up. What do you mean?
Russian disinformation. Okay, I don't know what is it. Is there racism and sexism in this country?
Where this misogyny comes from, and there's a lot of disinformation funded by Russia, and I think that's important to mention. And you have a primarily male audience.
You know, Piers, can I say something?
Yeah, well, it's bringing in Wajahat, yeah.
Sure. It's not TDS when General Milley, the former top general who's retired, openly said that Donald Trump is a, quote, total fascist. It's not TDS when Donald Trump literally over the weekend said he will unleash the military against U.S. citizens. It's not TDS when Donald Trump last week in Aurora openly said that he will invoke the Alien Sedition Act that interned Japanese Americans during World War II. This is not TDS when he, to this day, refuses. He's been asked multiple times, will you accept the 2024 results? He's not said yes each and every single time. He still does not accept the 2020 results. And he said, his words, that he will be a dictator for a day and he will terminate the Constitution. It is the failure of corporate media and also social media and also several influential people on YouTube for the past 4 years have not raised the threat and have done a both sides analysis where we've given Donald Trump a pass and promoted hateful talking points and conspiracy theories. And yes, some individuals and outlets have been paid by Russia. It has been confirmed. They have been unwitting agents of Russia, whether they realize it or not. Tim Pool and a lot of his friends, unfortunately, this is true. Now, I don't know if Tim knew it. He says he didn't, but this is the disinformation.
What do you mean it's not true? 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 It's true. It's true. It's absolutely true. What do you mean? There's an indictment. There's a indictment. We can read the indictment. What do you mean it's not true?
That has come out in the past 4 years, which is why, in part, Piers, there is such lack of information and knowledge about the facts,
all right, well, listen,
which is why so many voters think that Donald Trump won the 2020 election.
Listen. For the purposes, okay, hang on, Tim. Just to be clear, Vaja, it's a two-way street, this rhetoric line that you peddle about this stuff, because when you persistently call, as the left have for 8 years now, Trump the new Hitler,
oh my God.
I'm afraid
this is such bullshit, bro. This is such unmitigated bullshit. Dude, like the Republican rhetoric when it comes to Democrats in this country has been completely deranged for like 30 years now. For like 30 years now, bro. At the advent of Fox News and when Newt Gingrich took over as House Speaker of the Republican Party and then turned the party into what it is now, he's largely, I don't know if he's largely responsible, but like he's one of the reasons why the Republican Party started to become like really insane. And the shit that they've been saying about Democratic voters or liberals or progressives in this country for decades now has been unbelievably unhinged. They accuse us of wanting to mutilate children's genitals. They just casually accuse us of this stuff. They casually accuse us of grooming kids. They casually accuse us of worshiping Satan. And in the Trump era, it's escalated to the point where now a substantial portion of Republican, not just pundits, but actual like Republican voters are accusing Democrats of doing like blood rituals with kids. The rhetoric has just been, it got really insane on Obama's watch. They were accusing him of being a communist who wanted to like destroy the country from within. They were accusing him of being an Islamist that wanted to institute Sharia law in this country. Don't even get me started on like the Bush era. Like if you dared to speak out against the Iraq war, they accused you of hating the country, of hating your own country because you didn't support that invasion into Iraq. That's what I encountered that all the time. I was super antagonistic. Imagine 18-year-old, 19-year-old me, 20-year-old me, 60 pounds lighter, wearing a shirt that's probably a size too small that says F the war, with like 17 piercings in my face. And people would come up to me openly and just be like, why do you hate America? Why don't you leave? Why don't you get out of here? And it's just gotten so much worse since then. So this pearl clutching from Piers Morgan about rhetoric directed at Trump for, yes, speaking like a fascist, because he does. I mean, she keeps bringing up specifics. He keeps bringing up specifics. It is just objectively true that Donald Trump has talked about like turning the military on, who he deemed American citizens who he deems to be like political enemies or enemies of the state, enemies from within. It is openly fascistic rhetoric. And so for Piers to be like, well, come on, when you call him Hitler, don't you realize that it's such transparent bullshit.
That is the kind of
I didn't
extreme...
say that word.
Well, I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying a lot on the left have.
J.D. Vance did. His own vice president.
I've already said what I think of that, right? What I'm saying is when they say that about him, unfortunately, that is about as extreme as you could possibly be in terms of rhetoric. You're likening him to someone who killed 12 million people, including perpetrating a Holocaust on Jewish people that killed 6 million of them. And that does lead to deranged minds trying to kill him, as we've seen repeatedly in the last 3 months. So this idea that somehow the Democrats...
tried to kill
the
him.
Democrats rise above
right,
this
though.
hyperbolic
They were
rhetoric.
Trump
Anyway,
A
you made
Republican
an allegation against him there, which is that he was being used by Russia to promote disinformation. Tim, your response?
So this is the struggle, right? We are beset on all sides with disinformation, and it comes from everywhere.
Oh my God. Where's that hot dog meme? The guy with the hot dog outfit? We're trying to find the guy who did this. Perfectly applies here. He is easily one of the most prolific promulgators of full-on misinformation. His YouTube channel is just, it's like a mile-wide long spigot of just lies, falsehoods, total misinformation every day. Multiple videos every day.
Everybody, either on purpose or on accident. Someone might see a story, they assume it's true. If someone's only watching MSNBC, they're going to live in a particular world. If someone's only watching Fox News, it's quite the same. The one thing I can say is that I never received a penny from Russia. That what you're
okay. You received you received money from an American company that you contracted with, who themselves were funded by Russia. We're splitting hairs here. He wants to die on this hill that I didn't get paid directly from Russia. Okay, bud.
Referring to, and I hope you guys read the indictment, there's limited things that I can say on this, as the victim in what's going on. And so
the victim that got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. He's a victim. He was victimized by Russia by being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a month.
What we're dealing with is three layers of investment through shell companies. A company that I produce a show for received money from another American-based company that at some point, according to an indictment, allegedly received money from Hungarian shell companies, which came, they allege, from Russia. None of this is confirmed. These are all allegations, and my company has never done business with Russia nor received money from Russia. This is just not the case. In fact, there's not much I can say as the
he was 1,000% paid by Russians.
Victim, and we are cooperating with the DOJ. There's not much more to be said.
If you're a victim, okay, give the money back. Give the money back. To me, that's not really being victimized. If they give you $100,000 a month, I mean, if that's being victimized, like, victimize me, daddy. Somebody come and victimize me, please. Victimize me in the way that these Russians victimized Tim Pool. I'm actually begging you guys, please. Let me retire early. I'll do it for a couple years. I'll parrot whatever talking points you want me to. Iran, North Korea, Turkey, Saudi Arabia. I'm not picky. Just give me one rogue state that's looking to push propaganda. Victimize me, all right? I'm right here, okay?
Said. No. But if you're going to come on a show like this and then you're going to just repeat these false talking points while accusing others of disinformation without having done the legwork, I've not said anything disrespectful to either of you guys on the panel, but you keep throwing fake things at me, and I don't know why. I don't know why. In fact, I think I agree with both of you on a lot of what you did say.
Why is he positioning himself as like a centrist on this? What is this pivot? I swear to God, it feels like he's deliberately trying to position himself as like a reasonable centrist on the Piers panel. You go to his YouTube channel, it's completely unhinged, right-wing talking points. And then he goes on Piers and it's like, yeah, sexism is a real problem. I don't know who's going to win this race.
Say. Instead, I'm sitting here, and Wajahat, this is not directed at you because I actually agree with you quite a bit on what you said, but I don't know why I'm the subject of this and why you keep bringing this up while claiming disinformation.
I don't know what else to call this besides sexism, because this guy absolutely brought up the Russian paying him thing, but he's focused on her because she said it.
Is a problem, and then not doing research to figure out what is true or what isn't.
Yeah, I think that's a perfectly reasonable response.
You received funding from Tenet Media. Okay, so yes, the money did flow through several entities. That's called money funneling. And because you can't just take money directly from Russia. I read the indictment.
Ask him if you gave the money back. Please ask him if you gave the money back. I'm begging you, please, 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 God, make it happen.
Okay, Nomiki, hang on, Nomiki.
Why do they keep interrupting her and cutting her off, bro? I'm fully on her side at this point. They are being 1,000% sexist here.
Have any evidence that when you say that Tim Pool took money from Russia to spread disinformation, do you have any actual evidence for that?
What do you mean? There's a goddamn indictment. There's a unsealed indictment, Piers. What do you mean? It's like over 100 pages.
Yes, in the indictment from the DOJ, which anybody can read. It's a fun read, actually. Really fascinating stuff. It said that allegedly the money had been moved through this investigation.
Look at his face. Look at his little face. at his tiny little Tim Pool face. I just want to curl him up in a ball and put him up my butthole and carry him around with me wherever I go.
Through multiple entities, because you can't, as an American citizen, just get money from Russia, like openly. You can't do that. So RT funneled money into different entities to Tenet Media, and they were in direct communication. Tenet Media is who was paying Tim Pool's company
But that isn't my question.
That's
not my question. My question
Somebody caught the Step Brothers reference. Good for you. Good for you.
was, do you have any evidence that Tim Pool took money from...
I've said it before, but the funniest line in Step Brothers, hands down, and it might be one of the funniest lines in modern cinema, was when Michael C. Reilly walks in and Will Ferrell's on the couch, and Michael C. Reilly asks him why he's sweating so much, and Will Ferrell goes, I was watching Cops. Is it John C. Reilly? John C. Reilly, yeah. I was watching Cops. And there's no pushback. That's what makes the joke just like there's no pushback. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Russia to spread disinformation, yes or no? And the answer is you don't. I've read that indictment. There is no evidence.
That's not true.
There is
The
no
indictment
evidence.
says-
There is no evidence that he spread disinformation because the Russians were paying him. You know that. I know that. And when you're going to make a big platform on a show like this by saying Tim Pool took money from Russia to spread disinformation, there is no evidence for
He took money
that.
from Russia. And separate, not to spread disinformation, because he spreads disinformation. So that's a very important point.
Yes.
He was a useful idiot in this.
He was already spreading disinformation. Yes, yes, yes. His talking points already aligned with Russia, which is like even worse than, you know.
The term useful idiot. I'm not calling you an idiot, just to be clear.
You mean because he disagrees with you about some things?
Which disinformation?
Was it not because he disagrees, but because
Nomiki,
your COVID disinformation.
hang on. Nomiki, Tim just asked a very good question. What specific disinformation has he spread?
That's a good example. Someone in YouTube chat, he was lending credence to the idea that that horrible terrorist attack in Moscow, that terrible footage, that was terrifying. How many people died? It was like it was at some kind of a concert hall, and I feel like dozens of people died. And the Russians immediately tried to tie it to Ukraine. Immediately tried to tie it to Ukraine, which is so disgusting. A country's leadership capitalizing on a terrorist attack and then using it within like minutes, you trying to use that against as propaganda against a country that you're invading. Like Russia at this point is comically evil. The people that run that country, just comically evil. And Tim, there's video of him like doing the I'm just asking questions, you know, it kind of looks kind of fishy. Maybe it's the Ukrainians.
Well, he was a COVID denier, got COVID on his show, denied COVID regularly, and then took ivermectin, which we all know is not something that's usable.
Okay, all right, you say that. Tim Pool, your response to that?
That's one thing.
Hang on. Tim Pool.
Never denied COVID, repeatedly rejected ivermectin, rejected hydroxychloroquine, urged everybody to go to their doctors, refused ivermectin when it was prescribed to me. So,
wait a second. I feel like he's lying here. I feel like this is not true. He has a tweet from 2022 that just says ivermectin. The first tweet that comes up when I search ivermectin in his feed, there's a tweet from him that all the tweet says is ivermectin, and it has 54,000 likes. Last Friday, I tested positive for COVID. It was the worst illness I've ever experienced. I was hit pretty hard. I was prescribed the kitchen sink, monoclonal antibodies, ivermectin, and azithromycin. He's such a bald-faced liar, man. Why is Fauci allowed to be wrong over and over? It's just called science. But anyone talking about H2 hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin is peddling disinformation. When my doctor prescribed ivermectin, I was shocked. I laughed and refused, saying that Don Lemon says he knows better than you, and that this is just horse dewormer. My doctor insisted that this was human dose ivermectin and they wanted me to take it, but I know better thanks to Don. The good news is that after taking ivermectin, I can be reasonably sure that I do not have worms. He's just a liar. This is what pisses me off, bro. He's just a liar. He's like Mike from PA. Like Mike from PA has no scruples whatsoever. Like he will just lie. Like he'll just lie. He doesn't give a And he's denying taking ivermectin when his social media feed is riddled with ivermectin references, and he quite clearly is claiming that he took it before, but whatever.
So I don't know what you're talking about. You're making things up.
So that seems to me, Nomiki, a pretty clear denunciation of what you just said is utter disinformation.
I've never said Donald Trump won the 2020
Well, he's lying, Piers. I don't know what ivermectin had to do with the Russian stuff, but
election either. I said he lost the day it was announced he lost, and
Dude, Tim has also been doing election denialism for like the last year and a half. I know that for a fact. Like in the beginning, he resisted doing election denialism stuff, but in the last year and a half, he's just been openly talking about like voter fraud.
The Culture War show to which you're referring, which a production company had a contract with Tenet Media. Which episode are you referring to? The one where we had a talk on the future of video games, the future of Neuralink, space travel. The production, right. The Culture War show is not an overt political show. The Culture War show, for instance, yesterday, or I should say last week, or the week before, we had a mob boss talking on what it was like to be in the mafia running casinos. I don't know how a show where we interview various guests on certain ideas like...
What about when you were accusing the Ukrainians of doing that terrorist attack at the concert hall? What about that, Raw?
Religion has anything to do with the political landscape. But perhaps if you actually read this, you'd also know that the deal was a non-exclusive reproduction license, meaning my production company posted a show everywhere on the internet, and Tenet purchased a license for rebroadcast. The show was controlled by a production company, and they had no say in it whatsoever. So if you're saying that a cultural show...
Sam Cedar is going to go on Tim Pool's podcast, guys. Now that's going to be good content.
...that interviews priests and scientists is disinformation. You've clearly not read any of this, and you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm afraid...
I have a way we
It would seem to me, Nomiki, it would seem to me, Nomiki...
He said he's going to go on his podcast, I think, is like in like 2 weeks.
With great respect, you brought a pea shooter to a gunfight on this one, and you should have been better prepared.
Can we all agree on something?
Because Tim's answers are pretty unequivocal.
You really should read the indictment because this is mental gymnastics.
Dude, Piers is so bad. Like, Piers is so bad. Piers is so bad. He's so bad.
You said plenty of things, and they've all been replied to. Wajahat, you want to say something?
I think we can all agree, and I hope we all...
This woman, man, she is being so disrespected on this panel. It's wild. She's being so disrespected on this panel. It's insane.
Agree that a hostile foreign nation should not be funneling money and or trying to funnel money to any U.S. media company to promote its talking points. I think we should all agree on that. Do we all agree on that?
I agree on that. Tim?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so the show Friday was a scientist refuting claims of man-made geoengineering and hurricanes. I don't know how a show like that is some way political or talking...
airs other shows too.
All right. You know what?
Tim,
we've covered this. Let's move on. I want to play a clip to you, Vinny, of Donald Trump dancing for half an hour in Pennsylvania last night.
I can't play the music. God, it's so bizarre.
You know, he lost his mind and blah, blah, blah. In fact, what happened there, because I checked facts, which I know is a sort of quaint...
Oh my God, he's going to carry water for this. Oh my God, he's going to try to explain this away.
Is that two members of the audience, one after the other, were taken quite badly ill. And as a result, Trump stopped the Q&A and said, no more questions, but let's play some music. He had a plan to play some music anyway. And he played the music. And I was struck by the Sinead O'Connor part of that, because when I spoke to Trump on the phone about a week ago, he was on his plane, and in the background was Sinead O'Connor singing Nothing Compares to You. Now I know why it was playing in the background on his plane. So that answered that question. But here's the thing, Vinny.
If this was Biden, Piers would be like, oh, he's insane, he's demented. Like, this is so stupid.
I just think Trump is, whether you love him or hate him, I've always said this, he's a kind of unique character in the political world. And last night was classic Trump. It was completely surprising. It came out of nowhere. It was prompted by two people being sick. But in the end, people scream at him if he does his normal rally stuff, and they scream at him when he plays some lovely music and just sits there dancing without saying anything. This comes back to my thing and your thing about TDS. Is
it's a little weird.
If you scream at Trump for standing there just doing a bit of gyrating to some of the greatest songs ever made in the history of music, there's something wrong with you, isn't
it?
Oh
my God.
39 minutes.
I mean, Piers, absolutely not. Listen to me. Donald Trump, love him or hate him, is a freaking rock star. If you're either you're blind or you just are in complete denial, his rallies are absolutely insane. And I love that you said that.
I agree.
Piers, the left and all these people talk
agree
about,
with that.
he just did like a crazy person. People were having freaking heart attacks in the audience, so he, out of the kindness of his heart, was just hanging out and playing freaking music. And you know what? He should be happy. Somebody shot him in the freaking head, and he survived. Another psycho was trying to kill him, at freaking Mar-a-Lago, and this other guy, I don't know about the third assassination attempt, but they are all trying to kill him. And no matter what he does, Piers, he could have been holding a baby. They would have been complaining and crying about him. And I don't care how much these guests say that they don't have TDS. You think about Donald Trump every single day. People like me don't think about Barack. I don't think about Kamala. I mean, it's freaking election season, so we have to. But other than that, get on with it, bro. Nobody wants to hear it. It's all the same talking points. It's all the same BS rhetoric. The guy's dancing to music, and they can't stand that. Like,
yeah,
maybe
okay.
What else you...
Whatever, bro. It is bizarre to sit there swaying the music for 40 minutes. It's weird. It's weird.
Want him to do?
Well, Wajahat, it's a good question. Why are you so appalled by Donald Trump simply dancing to great music? What's the...
Bubba Valentine once asked, talking about misogyny and sexism at Hutch, was Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, a sexist? He said that any nation with a female leader would never be successful. Was that misogynistic? Do I seem like a... I'm sorry. When you hear me speak, do you think I'm Islamic? Do I give off Islamic vibes to you? What a weird thing to come into my chat and ask. What a bizarre question. Do you get heavy Islam vibes from me? Like, where did that come from, bro?
He first and foremost mocked the man who passed out as he was being carried out on a stretcher, a Trump supporter. He said lose weight.
God, here we go.
When he was answering questions, he did. Check out the video. Once
Did he really? Is that true? A big guy passed out and he told the guy to lose weight? Is this true?
he was answering questions during the part of the rally, he talked about Hannibal Lecter. He was asked a simple question about the economy. He talked about hydrogen cars exploding. Then he seemed to just run out of stamina. It's weak enough.
What are these expressions that Tim is making?
Bernie's Emperor has no clothes.
But that's not what
I'm not part of the
happened,
Trump
Wajahat.
cult, folks.
That's not what happened.
For 39 minutes. Listen.
I mean, look, you are the high. Hang on, Benny. I mean, you are the high priest of disinformation, Wajahat, and you're literally spewing it out.
Yes.
You know, and I know, and
No,
everybody
I'm
knows.
not.
Everyone knows that Trump stopped the Q&A because 2 people were taken ill, and he moved to doing some music. You know that. I know that.
No, wait. No. He stopped for 39 minutes. Then he did not resume. He left. Then, today, in the morning, he canceled his CNBC interview. He has refused to do the 60 Minutes interview, has refused to release his medical records, has refused to debate Kamala Harris on CNN. Now she's doing a town hall. The man is the oldest man to run for president. He slurred his words yesterday, made some word Asian. I don't know what he's talking about. He talked about...
He sounded like This was a few days ago.
Hannibal Lecter. The guy isn't there, folks. He isn't there.
He only mentions Hannibal
He's not
Lecter.
going to help you.
Well, look, he mentions Hannibal Lecter in every single speech, and he does it purely to annoy people like you. That's the only reason.
Oh my God, dude. Piers, bro. I didn't even know what to say. This is like, it's so shameless. Like Piers was trying I feel like Piers was at the very least trying to be kind of centrist-y when it was Biden versus Trump, and he's just fully in the tank for Trump at this point. I guess he's hoping that Trump will give him an interview in the next like 3 weeks. I guess.
The reason he does it.
No, I think it's because he doesn't understand the word asylum. I don't think he understands the word asylum. In all seriousness, I think he mentions Hannibal Lecter because he doesn't understand the word asylum. But listen, Piers, I respect you for doing your best to put lipstick on a pig. I respect you for trying your best to...
He laughs, but he knows, he literally knows that's what he's doing.
Make this king look like he's brilliant, to look like this weak old man, to seem like he's a bull.
I didn't say any of those things.
This was really pathetic last night.
All I said...
I know you're trying. Oh, he was dancing to American music.
No,
a presidential candidate 3 weeks before the election doing that is disastrous. You know it. I know it. Republicans know it.
I didn't see anything disastrous about it at all. Young people like to see a groovy president.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but hold on. For how can
I can't watch anymore. That's it. No mas. No mas. I've reached my limit.